for some very quick QSSs, and it mitigated a lot of his ability. And the same for the Ashe. So far, I've honestly been quite unimpressed with Ashe, other than the game that White Lotus brought it out.
Going to have to wait much longer to see what they go with. This time it will be Lyon, once again banning away the Shen. The Kench following it up with the side on Albus NoX. So they'd really respect Arce's ability there. And Jin, once again, his ban rate has gone up so much just in this game alone. Oh, there's the Sivir again as well.
You want to take that away from Miracle. He has had the best performances so far on the Tahm Kench. And wow.
That's respect right there. This is game 5. They know it. They don't want anything getting through for this Albus NoX bot lane.
Now, this is leaving a lot open. Bear in mind that Rek'Sai, Gragas both open. We haven't seen much ban prioritization towards them, but they're still available. Nidalee is up as well. The Gnar is free, as well as the Vladimir. And this is where Albus have to make a decision. Do they ban away the Vlad, or do they just leave both open?
It's a risky choice. They go for the Ezreal, actually, the first ban of the tournament in the last game of the tournament. They know that White Lotus played a quite convincing Ezreal here.
So notice now that Lyon are not insta-locking, because they now have to make a decision. Do we want the Vladimir, or do we want the Gnar? I feel as though the Gnar would actually be the better pick, because there are plenty of things you can pick into a Vladimir, and there aren't as many strong picks into the Gnar.
Ashe is a bigger one too. With those two picks, we have a Jin ban, we have a Sivir ban, and an Ezreal ban. The only two picks that are available is Lucian and Ashe. Looks like the Gnar, as you said, goes through.
So Albus now have to respond with the Vladimir, because you can't just allow that to get through for free. And you can, as you rightly said, in terms of power picks, I feel like Lucian is a little bit higher right now, given us what we've seen from him. So you should go for the Lucian and the Vlad, so that you've got a solid mid lane and you've got a solid bot lane. So even if you're going to fall into a deficit in the top half of the map, you can almost guarantee yourself strong laners in the mid and the bot.
Yeah, so looking good so far. I like it, even though it was just based off of one hover. It's the right mindset.
Look, things are heating up right now, despite Brand not being on the Rift, but these guys definitely respecting each other a whole ton, because throughout this game we've seen very quick insta-locks coming in and potentially giving away the Vladimir here if they go for the Gragas.
This should not be their mentality. Last game was fantastic. The Rek'Sai worked well. Give hit. All right.
So you're going to see Vlad and Elise now. Maybe not on this rotation, but Vlad and Elise will come out for the side of Lyon. They could look to early pick the support. I don't know if Arce actually plays Bard. We haven't seen it yet from him, but Braum is also available. So Lyon could just look to pick up Braum Ashe now. Not only do you deny it from the Lucian, but it's actually a pretty powerful level 6 all-in. And you also have pretty solid disengage too. So
yeah,
it would be a fairly solid rotation. So I would say Vlad Braum right now would be a good rotation for Lyon.
It would be fantastic. You're right in that it just completely disables the engage coming from, or at least not completely, but it does disable the engage coming from Gragas and nullifies the actual lane. But Bard has been giving them a lot of success.
Well, you guys critiqued this when they did it with the Anivia, so do you think picking the Bard here, considering we haven't seen Arce play it once, is the correct choice? Because it is basically a denial pick. They go for the Elise
if he
as well.
can play it, there's nothing wrong with the Bard
true.
pick right now. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. The risk you have is now Albus going for the Braum, and the all-in power of the Lucian Braum actually being very powerful at level 6. Because when you think of the number of 80 carries that are left, there are very few things that are going to do well into the Lucian. You could go, I was going to say you could go for the Ezreal, but that's already banned off the table. Looks like that prediction skill's not quite on point for this final game.
Well, we're seeing a lot of new things, and one of our points were just to go back to your picks. Go back to what's comfortable for you. And then Arce, we're going to have to see if that's something that he's well and comfortable with, because he hasn't played a single Bard game throughout the entire tournament.
And look how far Vlad has made it through the pick and ban. This is very surprising, given that Lyon blind picked the Vlad in game 3. They had monumental success with it. I mean, Say even got the MVP as a result.
Gangplank. That's something that fell through too.
Oh, that's very true. We critiqued Lyon's ability to deal with the Gangplank earlier on, and now we're going to have to see once again if they can shut this Gangplank down.
They have the ability to. Not only do they have the Bard, Elise, and Gnar.
Sorry, I just realized why they're not actually picking the Vlad is because they're expecting the Anivia pick to come out from the side of Albus, so they're a little bit hesitant to pick that one up. And then if you go for anything else, Albus can respond with the Vladimir.
That's a good point.
So Lyon are right now stuck between a rock and a hard place because they need to think of something that does both well into Vlad and into the Anivia. Malzahar would be fine. You could also go for a Talia, or you could just go for something safe like a Lissandra.
With 13 seconds
Talia
left on the
great.
clock, they're going to have to make up their mind soon. But the Casio!
Right. There are so many picks
I
dropping
know,
through.
we're trying to keep tabs on every single champion here, but this is kind of the phase that we were alluding to where so many things make it through. It's just hard to get them all.
I still would have liked a Talia. I think you have so much rotation, so many picks coming off the Elise, the Bard, and the pressure coming in both side lanes that a Talia would have been great. Probably wouldn't have been the best versus certain picks, but it would have been good into Vlad as well. And it worked well for the composition. Of course, with that being said, hasn't been played by Seiya.
That was the quickest lock-in we've seen this entire draft phase with 30 seconds left to go. They get that Anivia. They know who they're up against, and they still are confident in Kira's ability to win this lane.
This is quite exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how these two teams match up. If we just look at the compositions as a whole, Albus NoX, great team fighting, great objective play composition. The only issue is they have no reliable way to force a fight. But what we saw from Kira's Anivia earlier on is actually the way which he uses the wall to start fights was actually incredibly impressive. So you also have the Gangplank ultimate and the Gragas where you could set up zone controls around objectives where it enables you to take the objectives for free, or if the enemy team starts an objective, you have a great way to then collapse down onto them. So I think Albus do have a fantastic team fighting comp, but when you look at the lane power that is coming out from the side of Lyon, it does seem that they have the advantage because they have the Casio in the mid, they have the Gnar up in the top, they have the Elise for early ganking, and then you've got a Bard Ashe bottom lane. So both teams, I feel, have actually got somewhat of comfort styles of play, and now we're finally going to see a clash of styles because you've got Lyon, who want all about the early lead with the early lane dominance, and from Albus, you've got fantastic team coordination and team fight presence that does a great job of playing the map.
Does remind me of game one. It actually feels like we've gone straight round where we have an amazing teamfight comp versus just strong laning. So now that we've gone so far into this series, gone so far into the set, it's down to the last game, and they've gone straight back to their comfort, straight back to their styles. Let's see how much they have learned from this set. Can it get them going?
Look, everyone in the crowd, you can see they'd congregated round the middle of the theater. Everyone there to cheer on their favorite team and players. Because guess what, guys? We're in game number 5, one game away from sending our final wildcard team to Worlds.
They're grouping up as a whole. They're looking to go for a 5-man invade. Seiya might just lose out in this. Nah, he backs away perfectly.
He's going to spot him out. Get a poison down, just back away. Looks like Albus NoX trying to get a bit of deep vision down. Obviously not to set up for a lane swap like we would have in the past. Mountain Drake is going to be the first Badger on the board. And we need to track Oddie's pathing in this early game because I'm curious as to where he decides to invest his early pressure. He could look to try and snowball the top. Remember how great Elise is at actually diving? And a very subtle thing, but the fact that Elise just lost both of her spiders could be a bit of a detriment in terms of her early clear because they're a big part of where her damage comes from and will also help with her ability to sustain throughout the early jungle.
Smurf being able to last hit as well gives himself a little bit of extra gold on the queue, but tensions are high. You saw ANX trying to go for an early invade. What does Atlas call the Tarek Dazzle Raz? Can you remind me?
I'm not going to remind you.
Dazzle Plasm?
No, thanks.
Looks like we'll be just seeing standard jungle starts coming out of these two guys, and actually just going to be going for one of the Krugs as opposed to two, and of course Miracle and Liquid going for nothing.
This actually will give them an ever so slight experience advantage.
The Albus NoX Legion out in force for this game, and considering last time it was 8%, this is beyond a massive amount of support right now.
Oh yeah, it is. This is going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. This is game 5. Winner of this goes to Worlds. Loser goes home. Very upset because of how close they were to going to Worlds. But I mean, what a fantastic series we've had. This is our second semi-final ad that has gone to all 5 games. Lyon, I got to be honest, I thought that this was going to be a 3-0 sweep in favor of Lyon based on their performance throughout the tournament. a lot of my colleagues here in the Oceanic office have said, I feel like you're underestimating Albus NoX a little bit, and I feel like I've more overestimated Lyon Gaming.
Yeah.
I feel like throughout this series it's become very evident of the misplays they've made and their poor ability to assign lanes and play the map. But also, I've come to realize how good Albus NoX are at actually taking advantage of their composition, and once they have a lead, they very quickly snowballed it. I mean, both their wins were in at about 32 to 34 minutes in both.
Yeah, a lot of respect to the Albus NoX lineup. I actually had pinned down Lyon to be far superior in a lot of ways. Maybe there was a few questions on lane assignments, but this turned into a major point where a few weaknesses, a lot of weaknesses are getting dragged out of Lyon. And it's in part due to Albus NoX's ability to just outplay them macro-wise.
In the mid, you can see that Kira forced to use all of his health potions already, so Saya definitely getting the early trades in his favor for now, but Anivia just wants to farm up to that level 6.
At no point does Anivia ever win against Acasio. Like, yeah, the worst case scenario for Acasio is she eats a Q, but it's so easy to dodge if you can just land a Q of your own. And it is a very tricky situation for Kira, because bear in mind now, to use your ult, you actually have to get in very close range, and it's actually surprisingly predictable. So as you walk up to try and land the ult, you get a Casio ult straight in your face. Like, Casio is a great pick into Anivia. The only difficulty Casio has is when you're fighting in these choke points, Anivia throws down the ult prior and isn't really going in for an exchange, but is more interested in just using the ultimate to zone the Casio away from the rest of the fight.
Ordinarily, I would agree in a lot of cases. I feel like Kira is playing this Anivia leveling up the wall first. I think that's going to be a major point.
Oh no, this could be bad. One tower shot. Saya forced a flash immediately, and Kira saves both his summoners from looking like he's about to get egged.
So
it's a good segue.
The very subtle thing about that wall is Saya was actually out of range of the turret, but the wall knocked him in range of the turret. It was tiny, but it was enough to actually put him in range, forcing the flash out of Saya as well. Just good play.
And if he goes for a second level on that wall, once it gets to a massive point, he could really start to force Saya in these awkward positions in team fights.
It's honestly surprising. Most Anivias that I know of actually don't take any points in wall early on. They actually just invest into Q and E because it helps with your wave clear and also with your ability to trade.
It reminds me of the old Anivia. I know there was a time where people did actually level wall second in competitive. That changed. That's obviously changed, and Anivia has been in and out of the meta. So the fact that we're seeing A, not only Anivia once again, but B, the leveling of it means that A, it works well for this team, works well for their team fighting, able to really utilize that wall effectively, but B, it's a refreshing take on it.
I think it's also important to remember that one of the reasons as to why we saw Anivia recently was it was a good pick into Malzahar. Not Malzahar, Vladimir, sorry.
Yeah.
And the reason why you don't max wall against Vlad is because he can pull underneath it. So there's no point in taking any points in it, which could be one of the reasons as to why we didn't see that build very often. But it seems that Kira doesn't care.
He's falling behind a little bit in CS though, but like you said, there's no universe where Anivia can out-trade a Cassiopeia. Teleport being used for Gerald to get back to the top. The Smurf used his as well. Look at the damage. Maybe this is the universe where that happens.
That was largely because Saya didn't want to commit too much, but also because he was... it's one of those things where not a lot of people appreciate, but every player has a tendency that you can take advantage of. So if they land a poison, some people will run in a certain direction, some people will do a certain thing. And Kira now has played Saya for the 5th time in a row, and so he started to identify some of these tendencies, and right there he was just taking advantage of the fact that Saya, whenever he lands a poison, he just runs ever so slightly to the right, and that's why he threw out his Ice Ball and was able to land it and get the harass.
Well, we saw that in game number 2 when Miracle on the Jhin was able to predict White Lotus with that curtain call and completely shut him down, hitting all 4 shots at maximum range. It looks easy, but it's actually a little bit difficult when in practice, so props to these guys. But like you said, so game number 5, they've been playing each other for nearly 5 hours now, so...
And we're back once again to look at this top lane matchup. We've seen this globally. It's usually fairly awful for the Gangplank. He is far behind in this matchup now, so the question is, what is Albus NoX going to look to do that? Can't really do much since they're getting shoved in bot 2, so with both of their side lanes getting shoved in, question is, how are they going to actually weather this pressure?
Miracle, big wave crashing for him down here. Should have no trouble Last hitting all of those. He is falling quite far behind White Lotus, 20 CS at a stage.
And I want you to keep your eyes on the minimap because notice the positioning of Oddie right now and look at where Smurf is underneath his turret. Rage Bar is being built up for Giral. This could be an opportunity to set up a dive onto the gangplank and solidify that lead up in the top lane.
Oh, they might be going for it here.
He's got to move up faster. This has got to be a bigger point. They can't really wait. There we go. He can't really wait for the wave because the initial keg that blew up near Giral kind of sped up the process. So Audi had to speed up to the wave fast if they wanted to make that play happen.
That was a very respectful flash.
That was good of Smurf. I actually really like that. It was unfortunate that it didn't push the rage bar up until to maximum, so he had to actually wait much further on.
Well, it's one of those things where a lot of the times we do see people flashing too late, and it ends up costing them those lives. And you're just thinking, oh, why didn't you just flash
like
early?
Arsa earlier. I mean, he was playing the Tom Kench, gets hit by a Bard ult because he didn't respect it. Ends up being punished for it, so it was a safe play to make.
Yeah.
And he's already stuck underneath this turret anyway, so may as well. But now Oddie should really look to move back to the top half of the map and try and set that play up again. But right now it looks like he's posturing around the dragon, as it is the mountain first. They want to try and get some vision control around that area.
Look, there's no way that I'm not going to call RC Lacrit just once because he's on the Bard. Flashing from Lacrit, though, gets the stun onto White Lotus. There's a Tempered Fate only hitting Lacrit, but that's a lot burnt. The trade goes in favor of ANX.
So flash for flash traded between the supports. White Lotus does still have his summoner spells, same for Miracle. They were able to trade back a little bit, alleviating some of the pressure that this Ashe Bard lane was able to exert. Funnily enough, they're right back to it. They know they have the support from Oddie, but Stagers is also hanging around in the event that we have a bit of a party down here.
He should have been spotted out. Good deep wards. Stun comes in. Both of them miss here. White Lotus is going to be turning it back around. Can Miracle get up the ulti in time? White Lotus flashes from that one. A great ulti from Sejos. Knocks him back into the fight. And this is definitely a party that didn't want to be a part of. First blood goes to Lacrit, but White Lotus answers with a kill into Miracle.
Great movement from White Lotus to try and dodge out that cask, walk a little forward. Unfortunately, not forward enough. Didn't have the speed to it, so he did get knocked in anyways. But he tried. That's all you can ask for.
But praise for White Lotus for being able to get a kill at all, because in all honesty, I thought that he was just going to end up losing his life, but he managed his focus well enough and managed to get enough damage down onto Miracle that actually netted him a kill. And note that Miracle did not get the kill himself. That kill actually went over to Licrit, which is not what you really want coming out from your support.
Look, that's the thing, right? He killed the most important member in what was looking like just a whitewash. So props to White Lotus once again, his positioning and just kind of heads up play in those super stressful situations has been on point all series long.
Yeah, great from PvP Steos to go to the bot lane. That was actually a really well turned gank. Crit and then top side, so it looks like they're actually just going to swap this once again.
Yep, this is something that we saw them do in the first game of the series. It didn't work out. Funnily enough, there was an Ashe in the bottom lane. A cross-map arrow came and hit the support in the face. Oddie, though, look at his positioning. He's not moving to the top. Not moving to the top side as Giral taking a lot of damage.
Forces the flash out of Giral, but here comes Saya. Doing some good damage onto Miracle. It's a barrel for his trouble. Steos is up here as well, so we see 4 people top, but
they're going to get this.
Yeah, they're just going to lose the bot lane tower. White Lotus gets himself the gold for that.
650 on the AD carry that already have 1 kill. It's absolutely monumental. They can now keep pushing this because they have a massive tempo advantage. I mean, that was a questionable play from Albus NoX. They should have had their jungler to force the 4-man. They instead decided to go for the dive rather than just zoning him away from the tower. And now that Say's here, they might not even need to contest for this.
Well, Giral's teleporting his way back up. Licrit and Miracle might be in trouble. Here comes the Ashe ult. He said Deja Vu. Could it be? Oh, that's support again. But it doesn't matter this time as it is going to be Stejos who actually goes down and 4 members strong. And the flash coming in from Saya. Ulti on the tower. Licrit, he's going to go down now. Miracle not going to get hit by the Cosmic Binding. Oddie, he's quite fast being sped up by the Shrine. Can't get in range though.
We're all struggling to breathe because this is exactly what happened in game 1. Lyon get themselves 2 kills. They punish the play coming out from Albus NoX, and they're looking to take down this tier 1 in the top lane.
The next wave's coming up fairly quickly too, so they can actually stick towards this. They're going to back anyways though, so not happy about that. They could have actually powered through this turret.
It's an ever so slight adaptation from Albus though, because what they've done is they've rotated the gangplank down to the bottom half of the map, and they've just tried to get a bit of extra farm onto the gangplank, which they have succeeded in doing. The biggest problem was the use of the TP coming out from Jarl, setting up from the flank, rather than just zone away the Gnar. They ended up going up against the Cassio, who, but if you overstep ever so slightly, can very readily punish you, which is exactly what she did, and it enabled Lyon to get themselves 2 kills in the top.
Look at the gold discrepancy. Still not too much. About 2,000 at the moment and change. Lyon doing a good job. But this is kind of a story we've seen before. They get their advantages, and then they kind of just go mid as 4.
They need to swap the lanes back now and go back to standard 2 versus 2. They could even just send their bottom lane up with the Gnar and with Oddie, and they can just push down the damage. There's nothing that the enemy team can do about it. You can easily set up for the dive. You have Mega Gnar, you have Bard Ultimate, and that was something we didn't actually praise. But Arce, sorry.
Yes, I told you.
Arce, really good ultimate onto the tower. See, and this is why. This is why you should have sent your bottom lane up to the top half of the map, because you could have easily defended that turret. You could have responded in kind, and we're actually going to get a bit of a replay of what happened.
Yeah, so PvP Steos gets caught out, but with that being said, we didn't catch the Ashe ulti coming cross map. Gets down Tarek, so he couldn't join in the play. That being said, Bard ulti taking down that turret altogether. They're able to chase down the remaining kills.
They lose that top lane tower eventually as Lyon refused to swap. Their lane is back up there, Jarl, the sole beneficiary of watching his tower die.
Makes me sad. I feel like Lyon could have defended that tower. They could have even taken that tier 1 in the top, but they don't like swapping lanes. You know, top lane belongs to Jarl, mid lane belongs to Seiya, and that's the way they're going to keep it.
It would have been interesting to watch them back in the lane spot then and see how they adapted to all that stuff. Maybe that's why.
Perhaps that's where their snowball wins for their 14-0 came from. The moment the patch 6.15 hit, they were just like standard lanes forever.
We're on fire now.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
now they do the
boys.
swap. Okay, now they're going to do the swap. Now they can move up with Gnar. A little bit delayed, but the play itself is still valid. And then what they can do is they can use Gnar to... TP is still on cooldown, but they can just TP back to the bottom lane to keep that tower alive, or they can just sacrifice it. But then what you want to do is when the map is nice and open, as we've said multiple times, you set up for the 1-3-1. You put Gnar in a side lane, you put Cassio in a side lane, and Nivea is not going to be able to trade against the Cassio. She's going to be able to exert a lot more pressure, and because of who Cassio is as a champion, she could even win out in the 1 versus 2.
Redius?
They go on bot.
I'm going to have to direct your attention to the mini.
Wait, they went back to bot? Why are you back bot? Why?
I hate to break it to you.
Oh, great delivery, Raz.
God damn, this makes me so sad.
Oh, Arce might be able to turn your Fran upside down if he goes for a hype-tempered fate here.
But they're in a long lane, so actually with the Ashe ulti available, they're in a pretty difficult spot. Albus NoX have to respect that and back away entirely.
Steos making his way up. Kira really struggling in this mid lane. Despite having the CS lead, he hasn't been able to do much, and Seiya with a kill and an assist to his name already. Lecrit does get hit by the Ashe ulti. Here comes his own to get himself to safety. He's unvulnerable for now. Look at Seiya moving his way on up. Miracle in a 1v3, just keeping them at bay with the culling. Teleport comes down from Smurf, same from Jarl, but no one dies.
So they try to force a play in mid by landing the arrow onto Licret. Unfortunately, they weren't able to kill him quickly enough because Seiya, was being pushed underneath his turret from 2 members of Albus NoX, which means that he's able to get away with his life. Just a couple of summoner spells traded back and forth. And unfortunately, for any of you at home expecting a quick final game, based on what we've seen throughout this series, if Lyon have an early lead, usually it's a 40-minute plus game.
We'll have to see if that holds true. And good CS lead actually in the bot lane, though. White Lotus definitely making use of that. 30 CS up, has his runes completed. Ghostblade done for Miracle.
I'll bet you an Infinity Edge that Ashe goes back to bot lane.
There she goes.
God damn. Ah!
Don't you hate to be right, Vedius?
Yes. There are so many plays you could be making.
Best thing about this too is that actually, like, this wave has been pushed so far into Lucian. He has quite a few waves, 2 waves to actually get to this tower. they would have had a large opportunity to actually threaten this top tower.
Is that the best thing about it, Raz?
Maybe even the mid tower. I don't even care. Just head to mid.
You
just
could
head
even
mid.
put the Ashe mid
Yeah.
and send your Cassio bot. Like, that would also be fine.
Yeah.
It would just be... it's just better than keeping standard lanes
I'm
at
not gonna lie.
17.5 minutes into the game.
This time, I would even be fine with an ARAM. Like, at this point, I don't even care. You can't even look to threaten Kira by sending an arrow just straight through mid.
Yeah.
There is no reason to stall this out and go into a lane where you're just going to stand in it. You can't do anything. The wave is so far out, and Lucian's legitimately freezing this wave.
And there's no reason for him not to freeze it because he's not getting punished anywhere else on the map.
Yeah.
There is nothing for him to lose from freezing that lane. And this is why we've been critiquing Lyon throughout this series, because they do not understand lane assignments. They do not understand how to take objectives on the map. The only thing they know how to do is play standard lanes and kill their opponents.
We'll have to see if they can do that anytime soon. Gold has been basically brought back up to even by ANX, who, with that superior map control and just getting the slight advantages where they can, freezing the lane, getting a lot of CS onto Miracle. He was down about 20, now only 15. It's getting back up there.
Now there are 3 members bot. Oddie is also hanging around. Is there any deep wards to set up for a TP play? Well, no, because TP's on cooldown.
And Hivia has been pivoting towards that side, but both mid laners are just going to keep each other company.
So this is why Gangplank hasn't been shut down in this series, right? Because the Gangplank is now just sitting underneath his turret after completing the Trinity Force. He is not going to get solo killed out by the Gnar. And because he has a tower to hide beneath, there is absolutely no risk of him being in any trouble.
Stays. Looks like he wants to go for this one. Does get stunned, then cocooned up. Using the ultimate on White Lotus, and things just reset to normal, but 10 seconds on the Dragon. Looks like this is what ANX wanted.
Even though nothing comes of it, even though that was a questionable ulti, even though PvP Sales doesn't get anything off of it, this is actually still fine for them. They can actually stall this game out for as long as possible, even though if they lose this Dragon...
For Albus, this is great.
Yeah, Albus is happy about this one.
Yeah, they are very happy. They should just let this Dragon go. There's no need to hard commit onto this objective. Lyon want you to try and fight for it. Instead, just wait. You have Gangplank, he's scaling up. He's eventually going to outscale the Gnar. Also, the Anivia, she's ramping up too. You have plenty of time. There's no need to overcommit to anything.
This is perfect. Now, even though the Ashe ulti missed, the fact that they are able to zone out the Anivia from this lane means that they can get some chip on this tower.
This is enough. Gangplank ulti comes on through, and he's been pushing top that whole time.
Yeah.
No teleport available. Gerald is just coming off soon, but he actually walked down so they could secure that Dragon.
And look at the difference now. 202 farm to 167 in favor of Gangplank. Remember that he was at like a 20 CS deficit during the laning phase.
Yeah.
And this is the criticism that we have given Lyon over and over and over again. I feel like a broken record because they are just failing to punish the Gangplank. He's just going to scale up. And as you rightly said, this is great for Albus NoX. The gold is even right now. Lucian, once he completes his 2 items, that's when Albus could look to try and force a fight. They have a pretty powerful mid-game with the Trinity Force on top of the Gangplank. Stagio should have a tanky item done, and then you'll also have the Locket of the Iron Solari finish on Liquid too. So around the 25 to 30 minute mark is where Albus's comp will turn on. But the question is, how do they start fights? Because when you look at the disengage power of Lyon, it's actually surprisingly strong when you have the Bard ultimate, you also have the Cassio ultimate. And neither team can't not fight forever. So perhaps that's just what Lyon is waiting for. They're just hoping on the fact that they're mechanical, or they are mechanically better than their opponents. So they're just going to try and outplay them in these next few team fights.
We'll have to see if they can achieve that, because they got the Taric as well onto Licrit, and both times we've seen them try to make a pick, he just pops ultimate, survives by the skin of his teeth, and lives to fight another day, and then they can usually turn it around into a kill, and now ANX have the lead. They've caught back up about 2,000 gold just from lane assignments.
Yeah, Ashe right now is getting the red buff. They're setting it up, I want to say properly, but they're not actually looking to set it up. So they're in the right positions. Right now, Lyon has invaded the Suicide Jungle. They can get the proper pinks down if they have the pinks. They don't have the pinks. Bard has it, but they're not actually setting it down. This is pretty much sad. But if they were in the right position, they had the right concept down, just not the right execution. And now they've lost quite a bit. Maybe this fight will work for them.
Ashe ult onto Kira, but it does get layered by the Tempered Fate here. Stun coming through for Oddie. The crit putting his ulti down. There's a Gangplank ulti onto the backline. White Lotus and Say are forced to retreat from that one. Jirol does get exhausted. Does hit the boomerang a few times. He's quite close to Mega.
Just disengage at this point if you're Albus. You've already got the tower. You don't need to fight.
Oh, there's a Mega Enough. Flashes in. Can't seem to find it. Stun onto White Lotus. Look at the damage coming out of Gangplank, and they just exploded.
White Lotus, he flashes in again, and he gets punished once more. Albus now have 5 members to the 4 of Lyon, and they want to try and push this advantage.
Oh, no, they may have caught Oddie. He has to flash to avoid the IWCQ and gets himself to safety, but that's another Summoner spell down.
No flash on White Lotus, no flash on Seiya and Adi and Jirol. That is a major win, and they're going to threaten this turret as well.
Look, this is how ANX play. They get the smallest advantages, and they just seem to run away with them. Seos does get stunned up. Another flash burn due to the Anivia wall. Arce has to respect that one. This mid lane, tier 2 goes down.
So really good play from Albus NoX. And it is just ridiculous that Albus are able to take down the mid turret before Lyon do, given how much map control they had, given how much further ahead they were over Albus, yet they are the ones giving away ground. They are the ones unable to do anything. And you can just see the desperation in Lyon trying to force that fight so hard, whereas Albus, they just bought their time. They had great disengage, they had the Taric stuns, they had the Gangplank barrels, they had the Gragas barrels, they had the Anivia ult. There is just so many ways for them to just slowly peel back and then move forward, and peel back and move forward. And it's again, Lyon is stuck in this situation where they don't really know how to force a fight onto Albus.
And they're always so close to the answer. That's the problem, is that there was a real moment where they were invading that blue side. They had some pinks, but they didn't actually look to place them. And Jirol had cleared the way, but he didn't actually roam. And it's just always that last final puzzle piece that can really open up the game that they're not really looking for. They're really now coming down to just trying to outplay fights because the game has turned. Albus NoX now have the reins in this one. Not only do they have the advantage, but they have the composition that can really push this forward. So early game, we talked about it, Lyon having a fantastic early game, but now it's gone. Game 5, this has been their ticket. They've been first place throughout the entire tournament. A force to be reckoned with, but now they may not even make it to Worlds.
Setting up for the barrel chain does land. That's a massive 600 damage crit.
Dead.
He's just going to get... Ooh, pops the ulti, but the Q comes through. Didn't matter. Steos was waiting on the other side of the journey for him. Now he goes down, a double kill for Smurf.
Have a drink, ladies and gentlemen, because it could very well be your last. White Lotus getting deleted by the Gangplank. Was not expecting the Ninja Pirate in that brush. And this is just going to further extend that Gangplank's lead. Albus NoX, they can easily take that tier 1 in the bottom. They can then rotate around to pick themselves up a Drake, and they have firm control over this game.
Yeah, and when Albus NoX have control of your jungle, they take control of your jungle. They are complete. They're all inside of it. The amount of wards, the amount of pink wards in there is complete. When they get their leads, we saw it in their earlier games in this set, they finish the game. Yeah. They don't allow you time to pressure. Now, Lyon actually have to start contesting their own jungle. They didn't give Albus NoX that same liberty when they had that control.
Yep.
You can see that Lyon, after that, they have their sights set on this Baron. They do have 2 Mountain Drakes and the Cassiopeia, so the burn damage is there. It's just whether or not the safety.
I mean, it could very well be a last-ditch effort, or they look for a pick as Albus NoX come to try and clear out. You can see the standoff. Neither of them can see one another.
But they can sense one another.
That's it.
Well, here comes the Baron being kicked off.
Has been started by the side of Lyon. A 25-minute Baron. It's getting quite low. Only about half health. Jirol jumps his way on in. Baron still laying down the damage onto Oddie. Magical Journey gets them to safety. This could be good if Steos can find a way in stun onto Kira.
Kira was looking for a wall right there. He wanted to try and cut them off in the blue pit. Wasn't quite able to find it. This is going to be the 3rd Mountain Drake. I thought it was the 3rd Mountain Drake for Albus, but that's also part of the reason as to why that was going down so quickly. Yeah. Because of the double Mountain Drake onto the Lyon. So Albus, they're going to pick themselves up a single one. And now Lyon going back to the Baron.
They might have to race for it here. There's a Gangplank ulti, keeping them at bay, and the Baron damage as well. So once again, forced off this Baron and Lyon. They're really trying to do this, and they're just not getting anything for it.
Yeah, Albus NoX are trying really hard to get this dragon. If they can get this dragon that denies Lyon away from it as well, that would be really powerful. And they just stall out the Baron, completely deny that opportunity for Lyon. That's just a net plus for Albus.
Look at mid-priority as well. Because of the Baron pressure that Lyon were trying to put down, Albus could shove in the mid lane. And now they're rotating around to bot. They have full control over the bottom half of Lyon's jungle. And with that additional mana drain, it's going to help take these towers down. And this is how you play the map, right?
Yeah.
This is exactly what you're talking about, Raz. You have a lead. When the enemies are dead, you move up your vision line. You get control. You can then set up for picks in the enemy jungle. The enemy has to respect it, so they can't move there, and that enables you to take things on the other side of the map. We saw this in Game 4 from Albus NoX. We're seeing it again in Game 5. And just look at the gold advantage that they had. They won a single fight, and now there is a 5,000 gold lead in their favor.
Look, these guys know how to run away with a game, if anything. They've got a Mountain Drake to their name now. Miracle picking himself up the red buff. Has the completed Black Cleaver to White Lotuses, Runar's, and Infinity Edge. Saya sitting on the Abyssal Scepter here. Really liking Curious, but he's got that fully stacked Seraph's Embrace as well as the Rod of Ages, so a lot of damage, a lot of mana.
If you're Lyon, you have to keep pressuring Baron. Right now, the only saving grace you have is the double Earth Dragon.
It's rough.
The only saving grace you have is the fact that you've won through mechanics alone throughout this series. So right now, they need to continue at it, because if they can't get an outplay, they will lose this game. There's too much on the line right now.
It's looking rough. There's no lying about that one, with things going from bad to worse here. Gold advantage still in favor of Albus NoX right now, and trying to get the deep wards where they can. Gerald down on the bot side. Has a teleport available on that Gnar, so he will be able to join the fight should need be.
But if you just look at the 280 carries, I mean, Ashe is actually a little bit stronger than the Lucian right now in terms of items.
Definitely.
But if they force a fight, I still would give it over to the Lucian. I say that. I mean, look at the level differential. 14 on the Ashe, the 12 of Miracle. Largely because he has been grouping up a lot more of his team, whereas they've been using Miracle as that side lane pressure. But now, Albus NoX grouping up as a 5-man unit in the top half of the map. They can use the Anivia Wall effectively to force a play.
Oddie might be in trouble. There's the Repel. Gangplank ulti thinning out the wave on the side. Arce is there. Does have his own ult available. Should he want to preserve this tower, but Kira creating a nice line of scrimmage there, saying you guys cannot walk past this, but tower stands for now. Oh, no, they're just going to have Sejos take it out.
Really nice use of the ultimates there, because they have the Gangplank ult to poke them out and force them away. Then they have the Anivia Wall as well as the ultimate to control a large portion of that tower, which actually forces Lyon off it. And they have no real way to then move back and contest. And have a look again. Look at the vision. Yeah. Albus NoX have good deep vision around the top half of Lyon's jungle, and now they're moving to the Baron.
This Baron is just melting like butter here. It's getting lower and lower. There is the ulti coming through. Ashe just goes wide here. This could be the fight.
They need to engage this.
Baron down to 3,000 health. They may have turned their attention a little bit too early here. Arce, no ultimate available, just frontlining here in Miasma. No one wants to walk across that, but now they have the inside track to the top lane. See if they utilize it.
They're trying to take advantage of that minion wave that they have, but they don't want to move too far away from the Baron.
Gragas is flanking.
Oh, here he comes in. He knocks Oddie into the fight. Arce forced a magical journey to safety. Now Licorice frontlining, uses his ulti, hits everyone on the team. That just calls from the retreat from Lyon.
Low mana on top of Miracle. Lyon have mid priority, so they're going to be able to get a tier 1 turret. Question is, how do Albus respond? Do they want to try and force the fight?
Oh, Flash War comes in. It is on to White Lotus. He's so damn low. Cullen can't seem to find him. Oddie goes down, stuns. Not going to land. Magical Journey gets them to safety, but they find a pick regardless, and it's on the jungler.
That is the jungler gone. The smite is unavailable. Lyon have no real way to try and steal this Baron, and Albus NoX are making their way straight to that objective.
Yep. Their options are limited. It looks like they might have to just take the 4v5.
Yeah, they might have to. Exactly right. The barrel line giving them enough time to work with here. They're not doing too much damage to the Baron, using it more as a bait till Smurf now finally getting on in this one, but they just want to force the fight here, but they're taking a lot of damage from this Baron.
They need to make a decision, commit to the fight or commit to the Baron. You can't go half-hearted as to either one.
They've already took too much time at this point. They have to disengage entirely, as A Miracle is probably far too low. Yep. Same with Licrit.
Oddie's back up now, but he's got his sight set on that bot lane, but yeah, kind of a little bit of indecision here, potentially costing them either an ace or a Baron.
So very close stuff, but you can see Albus NoX really snowballing their lead. If they had gotten that Baron, that almost would have been the game for them. But still, you have to take into account the big experience disadvantage between the 280 carries, but then vice versa for the top lane as Smurf. That massive crit onto Oddie is really what won them the team fight. And this Gangplank is becoming an absolute terror. We've talked about it throughout this series as to how Lyon have really struggled to stymie the late game power of this Gangplank, and they failed to do it once more, as he's now 4-0-1. 4 items completed, and now they're back on the Baron.
Yeah, Baron's being started again, this time with such vigor. Look how low it's been taken already, down to about 8,000 health, but once again they peel off. The volatile Spiderling is enough. The ulti from the Ashe comes on through, only hits onto Steos, but yeah, Miracle, he got chunked very, very low, so they have to respect that.
Got chunked out way too much. The Baron, unfortunately, decided that he would be his meal. Therefore, Miracle took a lot more damage than he originally planned on taking. He doesn't have any lifesteal just yet.
Yeah.
So he's just going to have to back away from that one. Now 3 level difference between the two AD carries. This could become a problem as the Ashe now has that Bloodthirster completed. The White Lotus, we've seen his mechanics in the past. We know that he can make these massive outplays if ever given the opportunity. And now...
This is a good place for Lyon. This is actually fairly good. Miracle has to back away. If he commits to this fight, he doesn't have the lifesteal necessary to continue in this fight. But they're going to actually have to
look at the
respect
side
it.
lanes. You can see a massive wave pushing top, a massive wave pushing bot. And you also have the Anivia wall to actually cut off the entrance if Lyon want to try and contest.
They're going to go for it.
Watch the wall from Kira. He's going to wall them off.
Oh, this Baron getting taken down so damn fast. Already down to about 1,000 health. It gets taken before the ulti can come into roll. The wall completely blocks him off from the rest of the team. He just gets layered on layered by CC. No way to escape. Look at Smurf. He's teleported down in the bot lane. He's got a huge wave of super minions at his back.
You just need to stop the backs if you're Albus NoX. Smurf can take down this inhibitor, but Albus are quickly trying to respond.
Look, they're pushing up the mid lane and they're pushing hard. Smurf, he wasn't able to get the inhibitor. They were able... Lyon were able to defend. They had the inside track back, and once they left Dural for dead, the first thing was making sure that their inhibitors are safe.
There's simply no way for Lyon to be able to engage on this composition. Licrit still has his ulti, and on top of that, PvP Steos is a god right now. They can just take this inhib for free. They're inviting a fight.
They don't want to walk too far over the miasma and get caught without any means of escape. Oddie's back up. I mean, Dural, he's still on that respawn train, but they get 2 inhibitor turrets for their trouble and still have Baron buff on 5 members. 10,000 gold in the lead. So Dragon alive as well.
Albus NoX turned this game around after what was a really bad start for them because Lyon did not take advantage of the early lead. They allowed Albus NoX to just gradually farm up over time. They were able to find themselves a fight. They were able to gain control of the game, and they have just been relentless with their pressure. They get so many towers in the bot. They get all the towers in the top. And then they play around the Baron so well, and they just make it so difficult for Lyon to even contest anything that they are setting up for. And this is the difference between these two teams. Albus NoX have such a better understanding of how to play and set up for these objectives that Lyon could very well lose their spot at the World Championships.
Yeah, and I mean, throughout the entire tournament, Lyon has been ending games quickly, perhaps too quickly, because they just simply haven't learned how to win a game if it's not snowballed. If they can't look to pressure each individual lane and just shove out with a natural win, how do they end up winning? It seems like this one series is teaching them a lesson, but you don't want to learn this late in the game.
White Lotus gets taken so damn low, unable to be taken out by the cannon barrage, but this could be the mid lane inhibitor. Steos, he's made his way in. It's getting very, very low. There are the barrels. With the damage coming out, we see that Oddie, he's built himself a Zarot portal, and it's not doing too much in the bot lane. They've got their sights set on the inhibitor. Seihos does get cocooned in. There's the ulti from Licrit. Everyone's invulnerable right now. The wall trying to divide the team. Dural jumps on in, can't find anything. Teams are at odds right now.
Dural does have flash though. The combo that you always have to be careful of is the Cassio into Gnar ultimate.
Oh yeah.
Because you cannot flash out of it once you're stuck in that miasma. But Dural's Mega Gnar is gone. This would be a prime opportunity for Albus to try and force a fight. Super minions are pushing down the mid lane. Baron empowered minions in the bottom lane. And there are a lot of ultimates still up for the side of Albus NoX.
They've missed their opportunity. They need to look towards using Dural for a flank. At this point in time, threaten the backline. It comes time and time again where Kira, Miracle, and Licrit. Whoa.
Seihos, he might be in trouble here, but he's so damn tanky and able to heal himself up every time he uses an ability here.
Yeah, but the 3 threat comp are too strong right now, especially if you're trying to go front to back.
Culling being used quite aggressively. Dural has that Mega Gnar available. Can't seem to find a way in. Tempered Fate does go wide. Doesn't hit a single member. So Ultimate's lacking right now. And Mega Gnar starting to tick down.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping Albus NoX from pushing forward.
Look at Arsa.
Oh, he hits a double stun. But here comes Dural. A massive 3-man into the wall. Can he find the kill? Eggs Kira. Steihos goes down now. Miracle trying to dish out the damage, but he's exhausted. That's 2 kills already. Make it 3. Lyon, they're coming in clutch. The ult from Lecrit just in time. Miracle, he's still alive though. He's still invulnerable. But here comes Arce. Here comes White Lotus. They aren't able to keep up as he does flash to safety.
That fight was exactly what Lyon wanted. They get the 3-man Nara ultimate. That makes it so easy for Seiya to get all that damage down onto Kira, force Miracle out of the fight, and Lyon are keeping their world's dream alive.
Push comes to shove, and they push back. That was exact. Giral just needed that ulti. He got it. And Albus NoX pushed too far in, and they've got demolished from that. That was really, really smart play. They were desperate for that because the waves were pushing into the Nexus towers, and they were able to extend the game.
If it wasn't for the Gangplank barrel, that could have gone so much worse for Lyon, but fortunately, a big crit enabled Smurf to shut down some of the members of Lyon, force them back, deter them from continuing their push. So now, they're just going to return to the base. So keep your eyes on this. The person that I want you to keep your eyes on is Giral. His Mega Gnar is just about to run out. Flash, 3-man knockdown. And then you have the Cassio flashing in with the wall. And then you have the Miasma follow-up. And then watch the Gangplank. Big crit onto 4 members. Forces them back immediately. They're not quite able to net themselves a kill, but they are able to get the disengage. And it was just that damage from the Gangplank that really stymied any consistent follow-up from the side of Lyon.
Look, this has been such an epic back and forth Lyon. They started off strong, then it was all about Albus NoX and their impressive map control. They got themselves a Baron, but Smurf, they may have caught him too. He's forced to flash over. Ooh, that was too close for comfort.
Very risky, trying to pick up that scuttle grab. He thought he was safe, but there was no vision in the top half of Lyon's jungle. But this has given an opportunity for Miracle to try and take this inhib.
He definitely should have been safe. There is no reason for Lyon to even be in that position. They've got caught off guard, almost lose their inhib just because of that.
Inhibitor down to half health, and feel like we've seen this before. Everyone grouping up in this bot lane. They want to get this inhibitor down. It is down to half, and Giral doesn't have the flash available this time, but still has the Gnar. So different circumstances this time. Arce gets taken down to about half. Forced to use his jump to safety as well as the Mega Proc. Smurf gets a barrel onto Oddie. Does a lot of damage here. Can't seem to hit this inhibitor though.
They have to give this one up.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that a World Championship spot is on the line. Albus NoX are doing everything that they can to try and secure it, but Lyon will not go out without a fight.
Oh, they get it. Finally, Miracle able to work his way on up, and that's because there were super minions on the Nexus turrets. They aren't able to deal with that.
And so at least they have the top wave going for them because the Zerat's portal was built from Elise. So now the wave is positioned properly for the top side. That's going to stall out Albus NoX a little bit. Baron is coming up, so perhaps with 20 seconds left, instead of going for that top tower, they're just going to go straight towards Baron positioning, especially with 2 inhibs down here.
The thing is for Albus NoX, though, as you rightly said, they have a choice now. They could go for the Baron. There is the risk of the collapse coming out from Lyon, or they could just look to push in the top lane. But given that pushing has proven pretty difficult for them, Baron is the more likely objective, and Lyon realize this. So they want to try and contest, and if they can somehow steal the Baron away, it will be enough to try and delay the game even further.
The Baron has been started, getting quite low. There's a Tempered Fate to delay it. Teleport from Giral coming in on the right. Kira still using his ulti on the Baron. They're trying to go for this one. They do secure it in the end. There's the Taric ulti down onto 3 members. Now Giral in the pit for Stejos. He's alone. Is there anything he can do? They just completely delete White Lotus. He gets taken down. Now Oddie stuck in the pit. There falls Giral. The repel not going to get you to safety, mate. You're taken down. That's 3 kills for 0 in favor of ANX. All the crit. He's going to go down now. Seiya in a 1v1 hits the ulti. Can Arce get a double kill for Seiya? Seiya doesn't want to follow that journey, that's for sure.
That could have been game.
Whoa.
It still very well could be. There's only Seiya left alive. Could he be the hero that Lyon needs? He's found Stejos.
Oh, he's trying, and he's trying his hardest. He wants to keep his world dreams alive. Can't seem to find it. Those super minions are going to be barreling in from the bot. They're not there yet, but they have a huge Baron-empowered wave in the top. Where is Seiya? Gragas not letting him back. It's all onto Arce. Tempered Fate is so close to being on cooldown.
It looks like that Lyon are going to be able to keep the game alive for now, and it was all off the back of Seiya. Albus NoX got a little bit too big for their boots. They tried to get the kills rather than try and end the game, and they end up failing.
They thought they can clean them up. They thought they could take every single member down, but that was, once again, we talk about the individual skill of these players. Seiya able to take down 2 people.
Almost 3.
Yeah, almost. Save his team the game for that small moment, but that being said, 3 exposed inhibs, 2 inhibs down. They don't have the luxury of even contesting this.
They've got their work cut out for them, that's for sure. Elder Dragon is going to go down, falling in favor of Albus NoX Luna here. They've got the Baron, they've got 2 inhibitors, and the Elder Dragon buff being empowered by 2 dragons prior. Zero Portal in the mid. Not even going to worry about it for now. Miracle's going to go and take that one out, but this is absolutely intense. The tension is so high.
So this could be the game-ending push for Albus NoX. They have everything that they need. There's a 14,000 gold advantage. They have the Baron. They have the Elder Dragon.
Ooh.
But Lyon, they're setting up for the sneaky bush play.
Oh, they're not going to take the bait, though. They move on in straight for that mid lane inhibitor. Zeus,
Ultimate's used.
Just shivving them out. That should be good enough for them. They're just happy to take the inhib. That's all they really want. Now there are 3 waves of super minions crashing into this base.
If you're Albus NoX, you don't want to commit. You just want to go for the towers.
Oh, there is the ulti. It does hit onto Miracle. Taragold comes off just in time, but it doesn't hit onto the carry Sayer. He's trying to come in onto the flank to make something happen, but the super minions are hitting. The Nexus Tower is getting low and low sales. He does have the Guardian Angel available. Geralt in the back. Can't seem to find anything. He's got a GA of his own, so 2 being popped now. Sales. He's still alive somehow. But the Nexus is exposed. They're going for it. They want this, and they get it. Albus NoX Luna are making it to Worlds. An absolutely unreal performance. Look at them. They are so damn happy right now, and they deserve to be. Coming back from a 2-1 deficit to take the win on blue, then take the win on the ever-feared red side and secure themselves that Worlds ticket.
That was insane. Now look at the team of Lyon. Of course, it's sad, but at the same time, the fact that Albus NoX were able to take that.
That's a down chair.
An insane Game 5 for them.
I mean, it was well-deserved for Albus NoX. I felt like that they demonstrated throughout the series that they were the better team.
Yeah.
They overall played better. Maybe on an individual level, they made a number of mistakes, but their team play cannot be faulted. Once they had a small lead, they knew exactly how to take advantage. And
the secret handshake, I love it.
Oh, formerly Hard Random, now Albus NoX Luna. They've done a great job to make it here today. They've typically had some impressive performances in the past, but now they get an opportunity to demonstrate their skills at Worlds.
I mean, we saw it off the vignette earlier. The last time we saw a CIS team in this going to Worlds was Gaming Gear EU. Now we see it with Albus NoX. Really fantastic moment for them. Fantastic moment for the region as well.
Lifting the trophy, the confetti, the glory, it's all theirs and they deserve it. An excellent series going down to the wire, but they played that 5th game with such conviction and such confidence that you cannot doubt that they deserve it.
In this semi-final, they were definitely the stronger team. They broke the red side curse, which was plaguing many a team.
That's true.
But nevertheless, there are definitely things, as momentous as this is, congratulations definitely in order. They now need to start thinking forward after the celebrations towards Worlds, because there is definitely a lot of room to grow. There is definitely a lot of work that needs to be done, but regardless, you should still be happy with the fact that you worked incredibly hard to get to where you are. You fought a very difficult best-of-5 series, and now you're going to take a spot in the World Championship with the best teams in the world.
Exactly. Now, once again, they are competitors. They've went through their split with one goal in mind. They've reached it. Not exactly. Now they're going into group stages. They do want to actually be the first team to be able to get out, wildcard team to be able to get out of groups. Albus NoX Luna, they have a lot to work on, but they've shown that at the very least they have resilience.
Look, and they've proven that today. So coming into Worlds, he says a momentous task ahead of them, going up against some of the best teams, not even some, the best teams in the world. So they're going to have their work cut out for them. And celebrations are in order, that is true, but they've got to start thinking towards the future, because this is just step 1 in their Worlds dream.
Yes, it is. And I think it's important to just bear that in mind, that they've still come a very long way to get to this point in the first place. They had to come through a very rough group stages into what was considered to be the harder of the 2 semi-finals, but they fought hard. and they can now use this as a great learning opportunity moving forward. I think it's worth noting that Lyon, their players as an individual were incredible. It's really difficult to take anything away from their mechanical ability and the things that they were doing on the map in terms of outplaying their opponents. Because White Lotus had some great performances. Seiya on that Casio was absolutely phenomenal. Oddie, his map pressure was insane. Dural had some great moments himself. And then you cannot take anything away from that roaming support in Arsa either, bringing out the brand. He had some good bard plays. Like, the team was impressive. They played well, but it just... what they lacked in terms of macro is what resulted in them losing this final game.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that Audi, throughout the entire split, was a force to be reckoned with this series, he was getting matched. He was simply getting matched by PvP Steos, and he was outputting a lot more pressure. Now, this was a great play for Lyon, and it really just felt like par for the course. We thought Lyon were going to be taking this game with another win, and
this is where you started to see really the snowball in favor of Albus NoX, because the gangplank started getting kills. This was the 4 and 3 point, and it was simply a matter of Lyon not punishing the fact that they had such a big lead. And then the big Baron play is really what solidified that advantage for Albus NoX. Lyon had little to no way of coming back into the game at this point, and it was just an impressive game 5 from Albus NoX.
Yeah, we saw Smurf with the cheeky TP down there trying to end the game. A little bit too early, was able to crack the base, but this was really good. See that double stun, that's what initiates Dural to go in. Hits Lucian as well, and then the Miasma on top of Petrifying Gaze was enough to give Lyon and their fans a little bit of hope that it wasn't over yet. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, they find themselves in these situations time and time again. Lyon are able to just turn the tide. When they find their advantages, sure, they're never able to really make it grow, actually turn it into a win for themselves. But when they are behind, their mechanics do shine through.
So this was a fight that sealed the deal. You can see the Gangplank barrels just
quitting. Well, almost sealed the deal, because this is also where Seiya turns it around.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you think that at this point the game is over, White Lotus is dead, and then Licret gets a little bit too overconfident, goes through the magical journey into the embrace of Seiya, and then, oh look, another magical journey, results in Kira handing himself over to Seiya. And in all honesty, like, Seiya was keeping the team alive for a fair amount of time, but it just got to a point where there were too many super minions, there was too much damage, and look, they didn't even try and clean up the rest of the line, they just went straight for the Nexus.
You can see Miracle making sure to get his double taps off as frequently as possible to ensure that the Nexus went down ASAP. A valiant effort from Lyon, to be sure, but they definitely showed some key weaknesses that they got to go into 2017 looking to improve.
Yes, they certainly do. But they can still be proud. I mean,
definitely.
Latin American North is the best that the region has ever done in an international tournament. They even took the semifinals to all 5 games.
Yeah.
And that shows very obvious growth. It was just also obvious in the areas where they were lacking. This is something that we don't see very often, but when a team is that dominant, sometimes your weaknesses are not always as obvious as you would have liked them to be. We saw them power through the groups. We saw a glimpse of their weaknesses in their actual loss against Albus NoX. Initially, the interpretation was they were going easy, they were trolling, they weren't tryharding, but actually you saw those mistakes replicated in this semi-final, and unfortunately in that week, they just didn't recognize these mistakes and they weren't able to rectify.
So yeah, not only was it a great showing, but it was also probably the best lesson they can learn, that it wasn't their mechanics that really failed them, that they actually just lost outright through map pressure alone. That's all it really came down. Not even just map pressure in terms of early game map pressure. Audi was always fantastic about that, the best in the tournament with that kind of pressure. But once the mid game started, there were a lot of question marks on where they wanted to go and how do they actually wanted to use the pink wards that they had in their kit. So now they're going to go back home, and that's the only reality they have to face. But that was, once again, Albus NoX. They come back to this tournament every time, and they're never able to really get that win that they needed, that they always fall short. But this is the first time that they come in. They've shown strength, not only strength in their mid laner. People talk up Kira a lot, but the rest of the players shine through, especially the support and the crit, especially Smurf played fantastically, even though he was allowed to. He played his role, and he played it well, and PvP Steos actually outshined Audi here.
Look, and who'd have thought that 3 of the 5 games we would see in Anivia, but Smurf going to be getting your MVP, and who can blame him? 6 kills, 0 death, 4 assists, and nearing that 500 CS.
I think that was very warranted because in part, he was allowed to get through what should have been a horrible early game because Lyon failed to punish him, but he just played the map so well. Remember that a lot of their advantages came from the double kill that he got down in bottom. The barrels that he was landing in these late game fights was phenomenal. His use of the ultimate was great in terms of zone control, synergizing it with the Anivia to just force people away and get yourselves the objectives that you needed, resulted in some overall phenomenal play coming out from Smurf. And I feel like throughout the series, there was no better time for him to shine than Game 5.
Yeah, and we haven't seen the Gangplank coming out of him very much. That was actually the first time in the series overhaul. Just like during the series, we saw him play the Gangplank. And he played it with so much proficiency, even though, of course, yeah, he was allowed to do that. But when we started to see the kegs from him, it was so impactful. They really could not get a fight started against them. Really, it was very difficult for Lyon to start any engage. And the only way they could do it was off of something... yeah, sure, off of Albus NoX's mistakes, but they had to create a flank situation, and they never could actually get that going for them.
Yeah, look, it was very difficult to emulate because Jarol constantly, whenever he would get in that backline, it never seemed like he was tanky enough to provide that just time sink that it takes to kill a tank, whereas Gangplank, if he gets in the backline, he just straight kills them. Yep. There's no way around that.
And now Lyon will be joining INTZ at Worlds. We're sending 2 teams that have Albus NoX. Yeah, they've had some very impressive performances throughout the tournament. I think that it's fair to say both teams have a lot of work to do moving into the World Championships. We have to be realistic about the competition when you think that there's going to be ROX, SKT, we've got G2, or Samsung as well. We've got G2 and we've got H2K coming in from Europe. Yeah. There's TSM, and then there's COG coming in from NA as well. There are a lot of powerful teams that are coming into this World Championship that right now are head and shoulders above the international teams.
That's true, but they can do it. And we saw it last year that we saw Pain going up against the teams of Flash Wolves, now a first seed team, which is very likely they can find themselves drawn into that. And then we saw them going up against CLG. Now, if the second seed team can get those kind of results, then anything is possible here. And that's what I love to see.
Look, an incredible performance once again. And these guys, like we said, they deserve to celebrate, but they do have such a long road ahead of them. But speaking of the winners, we got Hingers standing by with an interview.
Thanks very much, guys. I'm joined backstage here by Licorice from the victorious Albus NoX team. How do you feel? You're going to Worlds.
I feel proud not only for myself but also for my team, for my region, because we have never achieved this since Gaming Gear, which were actually from CIS. And today we showed that if you are enough dedicated player and enough motivated, you can reach whatever you want without any doubts. Because we don't have offline league to play in online. We don't have any money in our region, like one player of Dark Passage earns more than whole our team combined. We don't really have we don't really have a huge fan base. But the thing is that we and people who trust in us really give us power to achieve what we have achieved. Yes, it's a little step. We haven't won Worlds, we only won a qualifier. But you know, yet. But the thing is that for every player in League of Legends who plays professionally, there is a dream to win as much as he can win. And this win today is the first step towards our dream. And I'm not really sure what do I feel, because it's too big to explain it in words.
Sure. You talked about then you said you don't have a big fan base, but being over here in Brazil, you guys have become you especially have become kind of crowd favorites. How does that feel, being on the other side of the world and having people sort of just flock to you?
Well, the thing is that not only a lot of people love us, but also a lot of people hate us. I can't say that we haven't done anything for them to do it. Like, we have never flamed or stuff. Sometimes we do. But the thing is that people who are cheering for you, rooting for you, they really give you power. Yeah, I even heard that in Brazil, crowd is expected to be the 6th player in every team, because crowd decides who will be the winner, who gets an advantage, or having thousands of people shouting for them, go ANX, go Lyon, doesn't matter. Well, Thanks for everyone for supporting us, guys.
So what's next between now and Worlds? What are you guys going to do to prepare? What's the road look like for you?
Well, first we go on vacation. Because every European team going to big international tournament, probably one of the most important in their lives, go on vacation.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we just can't break the tradition. So that's our plan. We'll do 3-4 days. And after that, we're going to prepare ourselves to start as hard as possible to show world.
Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of technical issues with the interview there, but I think we got the gist of it. He is over the moon to have won. The confidence is so apparent, and you heard it from himself playing on such a massive stage, having the crowd cheering for you. It feels as if it's a sixth player.
Yeah, lost for words definitely seemed to be the best way to describe that situation for him. But we heard how animated the crowd was and how involved they were in all the action, how exciting it was to actually be there. At the very start of the broadcast, we could almost feel the energy coming through the screen, and I imagine that it was a really fantastic place to play, and I'm sure that there was cheers for both sides.
Yeah, we saw the flags of Albus NoX flying in the stadium, which was really fun to see. And it's great to see so much power, and not so much power, but passion coming out of these players, especially Lecrit. We've had a few interviews with him already, and so the fact that we saw him really just couldn't put it into words, as you said, it's beautiful to see for this team. And now it's the first step, as he said, going into Worlds, and let's see how they fly.
Look, and I think it's about time for us to wrap up the International Wildcard Qualifiers. Once again, a huge congratulations to INTZ and Albus NoX Luna. Thank you from myself, our casters, and the production staff. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.